Good morning everyone. If you are watching this video, that means you have purchased the Blend Me Over Complete Makeup Brush Set. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for believing in me. If you haven't already received it, you will be receiving something that looks like this. If you have purchased it, you may not have received it yet because you get this video link beforehand when you do purchase it, but it is a 15-piece brush set. It is complete, so the whole face. We've got base brushes, we've got eye brushes, contour, highlight, but we're going to get to that. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to use each and every brush and the multiple purposes that they have. So included in your purchase, you will get obviously the 15 brushes. And it was a last minute decision to get these little bags included just to keep them nice and safe and clean, because clean brushes, gang, are the trick to a really nice fucking makeup. If you're not cleaning your brushes, you're not going to get a clean look. And now I'm going to do a quick demo on how to clean the brushes after this video as well, so you can keep them nice. They will last you forever. There's lots to cover in this video, so strap yourselves in, bitches, because we are ready to go. Now, I have clean skin at the moment, and if any part in this video my nails kind of like just slide away, it's because I've just done them myself, and I'm not a nail tech person, but I want them to be pretty for the video. You're welcome. So the purpose of this video and brush combo is so you guys really know how to utilize each and every brush. I get asked so many times from clients, people I'm doing lessons for, from you guys online, what the fuck do you do with particular brushes? So you've bought a big brush set and you use 2 of them, you don't know what to use with the rest. With this particular set, I'm going to show you exactly what they're used for, and you're not going to have to reach for any other brush from any collection. This is it. I use them professionally and I use them on myself, and I haven't had to reach for any other brush. I'm currently in the process of writing up the description of every single brush, so if you're wondering what a brush is for, go to the website and all the information is going to be there for ya. So we are doing the base first. I'm just going in with a moisturizer. You guys can use whatever moisturizer works for you. We're not focusing on products today, we are focusing on the brushes and how they are used. Alright, obviously for a moisturizer, I would use your hands. I wouldn't use a brush. COA number 2, COA02 is a foundation brush. Now it is quite dense. It has a lot of hair there, which allows for more of an airbrush appearance. Now I have discovered my love again for a foundation brush. I was totally avoiding these for a very long time, but this one here is all I've been using. It gets the job done really quick, and if you want to build upon your base, go in with a blender, but honestly this one here, if you're using the brushes right, you'll get a flawless finish. Is that my tone? I don't think that's my tone. Now we're going to take a foundation here. I'm going to pump a few pumps onto my hand. Now we are going for more of a full coverage kind of base, but if you guys are just wanting to apply BB cream, perfect. Brush or your hands. Now I'm just gonna dip my brush into that foundation. Probably not my shade, guys, but that's not the purpose of the video today. And to be honest, this is the only brush that hasn't left creases and dents in my foundation, because it does have a lot of hair there. All right, now we're gonna use short, sharp strokes to buff that foundation in. Now I'm not painting the foundation on. The lighter hand, the less pressure you apply for a foundation base, the better. Totally not my shade, and that is quite all right, because we are going to buff that down the neck. All right, short, sharp strokes, almost like a stippling action. Now, like I said before, my nose is generally a problem area. So what you want to do is, if you guys experience the same thing, you want to just use less pressure over the nose and give it a little tickle. We're not going for full aggression. The trick with achieving a flawless base is obviously in the brushes, but also how much pressure you're applying. You don't have to beat the shit out of your face. You just don't have to do it. You've only got one face, treat it nice. All right, now any areas, if you have created any brush strokes from too much aggression, give it a light tap over, stippling motion, and that will reduce the appearance of lines. All right, very lightly under the eyes there. I'm just going to use a very light sweeping action. And yes, the brushes are so soft, they don't leave any marks behind. All right, we're going to take that over the eyelid. Look how flawless. And before I could only achieve this particular flawless base with a blender. I just find that the brush is quicker. And I use this technique on my clients. Whack it on with a brush, buff it down the neck. That's why I like the brush as well. Now, if you need more coverage of your foundation, you can go in with a blender, but, fucking elbow. But you can use the brush very lightly and just stipple a little extra bit of foundation over those problem areas. And that'll give you bloody mint coverage. Okay, so that is the COA02. We will be going back into this brush after, going to show you what we can do with the setting spray. And yeah, that's that brush there. So I like it. Okie dokie. Now, I'm just going to press in this foundation under my eyes because now we are going into concealer. Obviously, I had to include a concealer brush in the collection because concealer brushes have multiple uses and they're just great. I prefer personally a rounded edge of a concealer brush, and that is why we went with a rounded edge rather than a square. All right, have you ever tried to cut a crease with a square edge? It's fucking horrific. So going in with a round edge, we have the cut crease brush, we have the under the eye brush, we have a packing brush if we are packing pigment onto a lid, bigger lip brush if you got big lips, yeah? Multiple uses. All right, we're going to take the concealer here and we're going to put this on the back of our hand. You can go straight into the face as well. Take some concealer on that brush. I'm just gonna put a little spot here, little spot there, spot there. Now, generally I would use a blender for concealer. All right, now this is gonna be our cut crease brush, so we're gonna go back into this one later. But to buff in this concealer now, I'm going to go into the COA08, which is this brush here. All right, it's a round fluffy brush. It's quite dense, but enough movement at the same time. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna look up into a mirror and we are going to stipple this concealer under the eyes. This is also a eyeshadow brush as well, but it does have multiple uses. Before you do eyeshadow though, I would suggest removing the excess, removing the previous concealer off your brush with just a general brush cleaner. All right, and same kind of thing. I'm using very light stippling motions so I don't leave creases in my foundation. And it's literally going in seamless. All right, get right into that inner corner. This brush is good for that because it is small enough to get into every single crevice, but large enough at the same time that you can buff the product out so you don't have any lines. All right, light flicky motions, especially over the nose, 'cause it's a problem area. Okay, seamless. Now, if you need to go back into your foundation brush, you can give a quick buff over with no extra foundation, and that's just going to merge everything together flawlessly. Okay, we're now taking the 06 brush. This is a medium-sized fluffy brush, good for a quick eye makeup, straight through the crease, quick contour, nose. We're gonna set the under eyes with this brush. Now, it is soft enough, it's flexible enough that it's not gonna punch holes into our product. Now, remove any creases that accumulated while you've been sitting there having a chinny. And we're gonna jump into a translucent powder. I'm gonna look up into the mirror. Again, guys, soft hand. You don't need much pressure at all. I'm just gonna very lightly tap that translucent powder under the eyes and flick away. A soft hand is key for a flawless base. I'm going to be saying that a lot throughout this. You can see the difference between the eyes. Right up into that inner corner. Not using much powder at all. Now we have an extra large fluffy brush here. This is the powder brush, right, for the whole face. Removing excess, removing shit under the eye, whatever you want to use it for. I'm going to set this base, just take a powder foundation here, but if you're happy with the translucent, obviously use that. Soft hand, we're going to pounce that into the powder, very lightly stipple that over the foundation. Now this brush is super soft, so you won't really leave dents in your foundation. And it has a lot of hairs there, which is going to give you very high coverage very quickly. Right, take it down the neck. Right, that is the 01 brush. Okay, it is rounded as well. I prefer to use a round brush for powder rather than a flat. Okay, now we're going to contour. Now the contour brush, I had a specific shape in mind, size, something that I would use on the daily, and I feel like I nailed it. We are going into the 05 brush. This is the contour brush. It does have multiple purposes though. Has under eye set, highlighter, contour, blush, everything. It is at a good size that's not going to blow any color out too much. It's flexible enough that we can get a good blend out of it. And yeah, the size is great to fit into the hollows of the cheeks. Now I've used that on every single client of mine recently and it's fabulous. Picks up enough product, has enough hair there. Yeah, get a really good blend out of it. So I'm going to go into my contour product. So we're just going to pounce this brush, give it a tap off. Now I'm going to press in to the hollows of my cheeks there, and hence the shape and the size. We want to get right into that contour zone. If you need to suck in to find your contour, go for it. I'm going to pat that in. We want most of the aggression up at the heights of the cheekbone here. Stippling this to get the most, and then I'm going to blend up over that cheekbone. Blending up is what's going to lift our face. So when you're confused about which brush to use for a contour, guys, 100% this one here. And then obviously using the set 5 or 6 times, you're going to memorize exactly which brush is for what, and it makes the process so much easier and so much less fucking stressful. I'm sure a few of you can relate when you're first starting out with your makeup, because this is a very beginner friendly set. You bust out all your brushes and it's just, you know, you got to think about doing the makeup, and then you got to think about which brush to use for what. So this set is specifically designed to simplify your makeup routine. Take the guesswork out. Now it is still a really good shape to get up into that hairline. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's perfect. Right, quick buff under the jawline. I don't want too much aggression, hence the sweeping motion. If I'm stamping the product aggressively on the jawline, you're going to see it. All I want to do is create a very slight contour and pretend I was born with a fucking jawline. Okay, we are up to a nose contour. Now, nose contour is, the brush is very, very important, okay? We are taking the number 10 brush, the COA 10. Now, this is a fluffy, slightly rounded, flat brush. More of a flatter brush. Can you see? Can you see? It's more of a flat shape, so it's really good to contour the nose. It's really good to find the crease. It's an under eye smoke brush. It is a packing brush. This has multiple uses and I love it. I wanted something that was flat and fluffy that could really do a lot of the work. I could get a whole eye makeup look out of this brush. We're going into our contour color now, and I'm just gonna look straight ahead, taking the brush, using it on its side. I'm not turning it because as soon as you turn it, you're gonna blow out that brown. So we're gonna use the very edge, not too much pressure at all. Now the edge gives you a really nice straight lines. If you're going for straight lines, this is perfect. I'm going to slightly turn that brush and we're going to get up into that brow there. All right, if you ever make a sharp line that's a little bit too sharp, turn the brush and buff it halfway over that line and that'll diffuse that for you. So you think about it, you've got one contour brush for your nose, you will never fuck up because you know exactly which brush is going to work for you. Alrighty, we are going to go into blush now. We are going to take the COA 03. Now it's a very funny shaped brush, and at first when I was using it I was like, there's got to be something more. There's got to be something more for this brush. And I started using it and I'm absolutely in love with it. It has multiple purposes. We've got a powder contour brush because it does fit into that area. So you do have two choices for your contour brush. It is brilliant for highlighter. All right, really, because it's a nice, flat, dense brush and really buff that, press it into the skin. But the ultimate use for this is for cream contour. So using a cream contour product on a wet base, this brush is brilliant for that. It totally seamlessly melts any product into the skin because it has enough force there, but enough hair that we're not gonna leave lines and shit like that. So we're gonna take the 03 brush and I'm gonna jump into my blush here and press that blush into the skin. And also when I'm doing my creative work, like my crazy, colorful creations, this brush is probably up there with my top choice for blending in creams, highlighting areas. It's just great. Okay, blush is on. Now we're gonna do something a little bit different. I'm going to finish my base completely, then we're gonna go into the eyes, eyebrows, eyes, lashes, lips. I'm gonna jump straight into my foundation brush, my 02 brush, and I'm going to set this, I'm gonna pop some setting spray on the brush. Now it has enough hair that it's gonna leave a seamless look. And I like the way that this presses into the powder, so it removes the appearance of the powder without removing the longevity that the powder gives the base. So I'm going to pat that over the face. Oh, starting to get a little bit more moisture appearance happening there. Very light hand, and I'm just very lightly pressing that into that foundation base. Highlighter. We all know that I am a hoe for highlighter. So I'm going to show you which my favorite brush is for the highlighter. Now you can either take the COA 03, or what I like to use the most is the 04. which is this shape here, okay? I'm just gonna dive into my highlighter here and I'm gonna buff it wherever you want the highlighter. Having so much hair in it does give you more of like a fluid kind of vibe. And the height of the cheekbone. We're gonna buff that into the skin, really press that in. That removes the dust appearance of a highlighter, gives it that real nice fluid effect. So yeah, wipes away any of the dust that could come with your highlighter and just gives it glass-like finish. And I like to look plastic. That might not be for you, but that's the beauty of makeup, gang. You do what the fuck you want. Alrighty, now we're gonna go into brows. I am taking the COA 14 brush. Now this has a spoolie on the end of it, which can be used to brush products through the brows, brush the brows, or if something happened to your mascara wand by some weird chance. So for example, I ran out of spoolies at a wedding. I know. So I just dived into this and cleaned it between each client for mascara. Now on the other end of it, we have a very fine angle brush, right? The purpose of the angle brush is for eyebrows. Great for eyebrows, great for wings. If you're going for more of a severe kind of cut crease, great to get your first placement of shadow on there for lines. I like to use this for my creative work as well. Also, I have used it on my bottom waterline. So these do have multiple purposes. Some people use it for a lip brush. I'm not really keen on an angle brush for a lip, but again, it depends on what you're into. All right, you can bend it. You can do what you want with it. I'm going to brush the hair in the direction of the growth, remove any other shit that's in there, and we're gonna take an eyeshadow, gang. So normally I use an eyebrow pencil, but the purpose of this is to demo with the brushes. So I'm just gonna take a dark brown eyeshadow here on the tip of that brush, give it a bit of a slap on your mirror, and we're going to create our first line of the brow. You can obviously use pomades, things like that, or a pencil. But if you're out of them, or if you want to try the eyeshadow trick, it is quite simple. It's easy to get your lines accurate, doesn't lose its shape, so I'm sure you'll nail it. And we're going to mirror that line to the top. Okay, we're going to do one eyebrow at a time, then I'm going to do the other one off camera because eyebrows are boring. Now I'm going to fill in this area. If you're not into a full brow, take the spoolie and work between each line, and that will spread out the product for you so they're not as severe. I like a severe eyebrow. Okay, now we're going to take the little brush on the end there. I'm going to work within the lines, and I'm just going to merge that product towards the front of the eyebrow so we avoid getting that block brow effect. Alright, brushing those hairs up if you're into that vibe. Okay guys, and that is the brow done. Now I'm going to do the other one and we're going to get into the eyes. That is the brows complete. Now we're going into eye makeup. I'm going to demo how we get a soft vibe with the brushes, and then we're going to be doing a cut crease on this eye here. So we're jumping into number 11 brush, which is the original concealer brush that we used before. Now this is where she shines. You don't have to use it on the face, but the multiple uses for it really are for the eyes. So we're going to go into some concealer. Go back into my concealer hand. And I'm going to carve out the brow. Now the shape of the brush is really good to get some nice clean lines. When you're taking your concealer, I might add, we want to really smooth down, make sure the tip is nice and sharp. Okay, when you're carving out a brow, you want to do short, sharp strokes. And that will help you gain control over the actual line. All right, now your brows are carved out. We're going to do the natural eye first. I'm going to show you a super quick natural eye with a brush. Probably only use the one brush, to be honest. What I do for like a day down to IGA kind of look. It's a grocery store for my Americans. All right, we're going to whack this concealer all the way over the eyelid. I'm not using too much. I'm just kind of stippling that all over the eye base. This is going to prep my eye for the eyeshadow. But in all honesty, you can use foundation too. It's all the same shit. Now I've got the concealer on there, I'm going to press out just to remove any excess with my finger. We are diving into the 07 brush. She's stained green. This is where we're going to go into some notes and how to treat our brushes right. So this is my creative makeup brush. This is what I use for body paints. This was Colourful Language in shade Geordie. That are staying the end of the brush. They are synthetic. Paints are going to stain certain brushes. That's just what happens. So if you don't want to use these particular brushes for creative look, for body paint shit like that, or you just risk it for the biscuit. That green is not going to come out of this brush. This is stained, but I'm going to be able to work this color, work my brown into my crease. It is a really good shape for your crease if you're going for more of like a blowout effect. Not placed, but a nice contour through the crease. You can use your contour color. Actually, fuck it, let's use that. I'm gonna go back into this contour palette and I'm gonna dive into this brown here. Brown eyeshadows, anything like that are gonna work, guys. But it is it's a largish brush. It's a largish brush. So if you do want more control over your eyeshadow, obviously use a smaller one, which I'm going to demonstrate in a minute. What I'm going to do is once that product is loaded into my brush, I'm going to start stamping this into the outer corner of the eye, making sure that I am keeping the product within the line of my waterline. So if in doubt, grab your brush, have a quick squeezy. Yeah, it looks about right there. And this is going to lift the outer corner of the eye. Now I'm going to pat this in. The purpose of packing the color in first is obviously to set the concealer. Now I'm going to look down, I'm going to get into the crevices. Pat away any lines that you got there. Okay, so yeah, it's a largish brush, but I use this when I want to fucking just get it on there. For my girls with a smaller eye space, you could give it a whirl, but you're better off using a smaller brush. All right, and now we're going to sweep this back and forth quite aggressively to remove any lines, and basically me buffing this top edge, super soft brush, not cutting into the concealer, it's just moving the product where I want it. And we're gonna start to see a transition shade form just from that contour color, guys. So it is really quite simple. Grab a little bit more product if you need it. Right, super natural. I'm gonna take that same brush, I'm gonna go into my powder foundation and I'm gonna set my brow bone. We wanna lock all this concealer in. Taking the same brush, powder foundation I use on my face, set that brow bone, and now I'm going to pat that into the inner corner. This is going to give me a super natural classic eye. That would literally suit anyone. You could dress it up, make it a little bit darker in the outer corner, add a nice set of lashes, whatever you want. If you need to go back into that color, go for it. But yeah, this is my favorite brush for a super quick eye makeup. What do you reckon? Pretty impressed? Okay, now we're going to do a shadow liner. We are going to go back into the 14 COA14 and I'm going to do a shadow line with that angle brush. So all we're going to do is going to go into a dark brown. No, I lied. We're going to we'll use a black. I'm going to dip that into a bit of black shadow. If you guys are scared of eyeliner, a shadow line is perfect. I do demo this in my book and the video tutorials in depth. I'm going to show you how we can whiz this across the top lid. It fits into that lash line very nicely. I'm going to angle that line going up towards my temple. And all we're going to do is we are going to use short, sharp strokes to get that line on there. Keep to your lashes as close as you can. But even there, even that's a nice little flick. So you want to use the angle brush, you want to lead with the short end. If you lead with the long end, you're going to flick the product too much. That's just how angle brushes work. I'm going to go right into my inner corner there. But yeah, it's small enough, it's detailed enough that we can do this. And look, it looks like I'm literally putting on an eyeliner. And it's eyeshadow, it's less stressful. Okay, pressing right into those lashes. I'm going to turn the brush around to lead with the short end, and I'm going to join up that line. This technique just gives the eyes a little bit more emphasis on that lash line, and it really adds something special. Cool, can you see the difference? Fucking hope so. Because this is more of the natural, like carefree eye, gym eye. If you go to the gym work, nah, I'm just joking. Where am I? I'm just gonna whack that on there. And now we are going in with the under eye smoke. So I get this comment all the time in my videos. People are like, how the fuck do you smoke out your under eye without looking like a panda? It's all in your brushes, gang. Hate to say it to you, it's your brush choice. It's your poor choice that you are making in your brushes. Now, if you're confident with an under eye smoke or you would like an aggressive under eye smoke, we're going in with the number 10. Remember that flat, fluffy brush that we used for the nose contour? So this is where we're going to use this brush again, and it's going to be under the eye. So what you can do is we're going to go back into our original brown that we use through the crease. Right, I'm going to look up into the mirror there, and I'm going to use the very edge of this brush. As soon as you press the belly of the brush onto the skin, you're going to drag that product out. So you want to make sure you're using the very tip right into your natural lashes. So I like to include this step into a makeup for everyone because it brings balance to the look and redefines that under eye. Look how pretty that is. I like it. Now we're going to introduce the other brush. So if you need a smaller brush for an under eye smoke, you want more of a defined look, I'm going to take to my favorite little brush of the set. This is the COA 12. Small, fluffy brush. Right, perfect for inner corner highlight, finding a crease if you're doing more creative looks, or an under eye smoke. All right, taking that brown again, I'm going to look up. I'm going to join that outer corner. Looking up into the mirror draws that under eye away from your cheeks. If you're looking down into a damn mirror, guess where that's going to go? It's going to hit that top of that cheekbone there. So you want to look up, you want to stretch it away. Okay, join that outer corner. So this little 12 is bloody brilliant. Now I'm going to give it a wipe off on the towel in front of me. And while I'm here, I'm going to highlight my inner corner. So it's a perfect shape, size for the inner corner highlight. We're going to dive into the face highlighter once again. I'm going to press that into the inner corner. Right, she's dense enough that you're going to get the payoff, but it's fluffy enough that we can smooth out the edges of that. Gorge! I'm going to finish this eye off with some mascara. Beaut. Okay, now we're going to go into the creative, colourful, wild eye. And this is where we're going to really test out these brushes, test out the definition they can create, the depth they can create, the sharpness. So we're going to go from one end of the spectrum to the other. All right, we're taking the number 11 brush again, and we're going to conceal this eye. Okay, so for this eye, we are going for definition. We're going for a sharp, sharp cut crease. So to create most of this look, I'm going in with the number 12, the one that I did the inner corner highlight and the under eye smoke. The 12 is fantastic for definition. Can't stress that enough. I'm gonna go into a dark blue first. Now I'm going to really pack this brush full of my product, and I'm gonna look straight ahead to find my crease. Okay, now I'm going to spot right about there. I'm going to look straight ahead in the mirror, and I'm going to press this brush through my crease. I'm going to stop when I get to the outer corner. Right, don't be concerned about what's happening on the lid there. The lid is irrelevant. We are cutting it out anyway. Right, now I've got my shape on there pretty quick. I'm then going to go into more shadow, and we're going to build. I'm going to press right into that area. Make sure I'm setting the concealer as I go. But basically, guys, you want the color through the crease, the colors on the eyes to replicate what's in the pan. If it's, you see, I've gone lighter here because I've used less product. When you're doing a cut crease or a really creative eye, you want to press that powder in. Make sure you build it until it's a really good opacity. So with this brush, it is soft enough that we can get a blend with it, but it's also dense enough that we can pack a product in where we need it. Okay, now I've packed on that blue there. I'm going to wipe the brush off onto a bit of towel here just to remove the excess. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to tickle at the edge. Again, soft enough that's going to merge that product nicely without cutting into our concealer base. You start to see a light blue form. But yeah, honestly, I love this brush for my creative looks. Big brushes for the natural eye blowout look, but the smaller brushes, the COA12, is brilliant for this kind of work. All right, might change things up a bit. Might take a pink now. Introducing my other favorite eye brush of the collection, the COA09. This is the ultimate brush. Okay, if we're doing something in between these eyes, this is all you need. It's small enough to pack in our darker tone, but then soft enough that we can blend it out. We can still create definition because it is a medium size brush. She's dense enough that we can get the pack, but also flexible at the tip that we can fluff out whatever we got going on. Now I'm going to introduce something crazy here. I'm going to go into the pink. What does pink and blue make? Purple. And we're just going to put a little bit of accent onto the outer half of the eye. Tap that brush off. I'm going to very lightly start tapping that into that outer half. Can you start to see something magical happen? I tapped a bit too much off my brush though. Here we go. Oh, there she is. All right, patting that in first because I want the pink to have its moment in that outer corner. Making sure that concealer is setting. I'm going to keep the blue on the inside and do the pink on the outer half. Okay, so it's had the packing motion. Now we're going to brush that off onto the towel, and I'm just going to complete that blend towards the brow. So we have an absolutely seamless blend that didn't take much fucking work at all. Let's go in with a bit more pink. I'm going to jump between the blue and the pink now till I get my gradient perfect. Ooh! That is better than a kick in the dick, I believe. Now I'm going to take the powder foundation again onto the same brush, and I'm going to set this little part of concealer that I haven't set with an eyeshadow, and just a little bit at that brow bone. Okay, now we have that on, we're going to cut a crease. We're going back into the concealer brush, COA 11, to cut a crease. Now, obviously the shape has been designed for cutting a crease. It's rounded, which helps you get the rounded shape of a crease. I'm just taking a bit of that concealer that I use initially. It's the sculpting concealer, if you must know. I'm going to look straight ahead in that mirror. I'm going to mark. Make sure your brush is nice and flat. You want to look at the edge. If you've got anything spraying out, you want to re-dip it. I'm going to put my first placement right about there. We're going for more of a higher crease so you can actually see it. My girls with hooded eyes, you want to bust it higher. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to align and stamp that brush. I'm keeping an eye on the edge of the brush, and I'm going to turn it as I'm going around the eye. You need to work with the shape of the brush to the shape of your crease. And the reason I'm stamping is to get more of a sharp, solid line without over mixing the concealer into the eyeshadow, because that can happen with certain products. If you feel like your brush is picking up too much of that eyeshadow, give it, see I've got that bit of a bluish tinge of that concealer? Wipe it off and get some fresh shit. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. That was quite easy. Cool. Yeah, that'll do him. Now we're going to look down and I'm going to fill out this gap. So again, we're patting in that concealer. Very light motions. I'm not aggressively swirling. I'm going to press out that outer corner. More sharpness. So I'm taking the COA 11, the one that I've just cut that crease with, and we're going to dive into some shimmer. So this can pick up obviously loose dust, eyeshadow, pressed shimmer, and I think, what are we going to do? Now I'm pressing that flat brush into my shadow, remove any creases that accumulated. I'm going to line this brush up with the very edge of that concealer and press in that shimmer. Really good way to keep your edges clean, but also really ramps up any shimmer. Okay, patting, really being careful to keep that shimmer in the concealer. Keep that cut crease nice and sharp. Right, do the touch test. If it's nice and dry, you've got enough there. I'm going to whack our next colour on, which is more of this teal shade, and we're going to place that into the outer half. See, I love using a concealer brush to pat in shimmers. It's so clean. Going to merge the two together by giving it a little swipey poo in the middle there. Okay, nice and clean. Now I do, it was a poor choice that I made putting the pink there, so I'm just going to take a lighter colour, take in the same brush. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a highlight. Watching the edge of that brush, making sure she's nice and sharp. Almost giving it a holographic vibe, which I'm here for. Okay, and swoop away any excess. Powder brush. Beautiful. Now we're going to darken this outer corner. Taking the handy dandy number 12 brush, we're going to darken this outer corner. Remember, definition is the key, so a smaller brush is perfect for this. I'm just going to take a black here, and I'm going to start stamping this into the outer corner. Now I was talking about a brush being dense enough to stamp to get the opacity. This is where this brush is fucking mint. You could literally, if you wanted to, achieve a whole eye look with it. very lightly tickle that up into those other colours, and you should get a pretty seamless blend. By adding this black there, we have done a cheat wing. So we haven't actually done the wing. Right, now just wipe my brush off, and I'm going to very lightly pat this into the shimmer. Soft enough that it's not going to create problems with our shimmer. And take my dark blue, just add it a little bit here. I like to pat a matte over a shimmer. I feel like you get more payoff and it doesn't fuck with the shimmer base. What do you reckon? I don't know about that pink there, guys. It's not the purpose of this though. Got to keep telling myself that. So the next brush, I love to use a pointy eyeliner brush. Any case, good for line work, good for liner, good for under eye lining. It is good for everything, good for graphic lining. This is the COA 15, so number 15. And you can take the angle brush again for the liner if you want to do a shadow line if you're pushed out, or you can go in with a gel liner, and this is what this brush is for. So I'm just taking some Inglot black gel liner on the back of my hand there, and I'm going to work the end of the brush into that liner. Got enough on there. You want to make sure you have enough product on the brush that's going to glide over the skin. Now I'm going to look down. I'm going to go into my inner corner first. And I'm going to use short, sharp strokes right into that lash line. The brush is defined enough that you're not going to blow out your liner, but it is flexible enough that's going to glide over the skin. There's nothing worse than a stiff eyeliner brush. I can't fucking handle it. It's like using a stick. Oh, she tight. Now we're going to emphasize the inner corner. Look up into the mirror when you're doing this. See, we've got a nice fine point there. I'm going to run it along that waterline. Joint the outer corner. Oh, look, I've got some eyeliner in my eye. That is not going to kill me. I would have been dead years ago. And also, it's great for graphic liner as well, because it is small enough, it's defined enough to use the very tip. You can get some really nice details with this brush. Right, take a handy dandy COA 12. We're going to smoke out this lower lash line. So I'm vibing. I think I'm going to go in with purple, to be honest. Change it up a bit. Done the blue through the crease. Now we're going to use purple on the lower lash line. Looking up into the mirror. Oops. I'm going to buff that into the lash line. I don't want to see where the liner and the shadow starts. It should be all seamless, one piece. I can lose shit in my eyeball. And again, this is to your preference. If you want a smaller smoke out, even define it with the angle brush. Define your lower lashes with the angle brush with a little bit of eyeshadow, and then use your finger to buff it out. There are multiple options with these brushes. All right, now we're going to take that pink. I'm going to do a little pink accent into the inner half just to join up with that purple. I really do like the number 12. It's probably my most used brush out of the whole collection. I'm going to finish off these eyes with a set of lashes, and I'll be right back. Okay, last but not least, we're going to the COA 13, the 13. It's a lip brush, right? Really good shape, good for anything. Multiple uses include liner, waterline liner, crease if you want a really defined crease. Work your edges with concealer is great for that. Even brows, because the edge is so defined, you can do your brows with it as well. So multiple use brush. So I do find by using a decent lip brush, we can avoid using the lip pencil. You get nice definition without it. So I'm just taking this liquid lip and we're going to line and then fill. All right, now to create that ombre effect, I'm going to take this lip gloss, or is it liquid lipstick, just in a lighter tone. We're going to put it into the center of the lips, taking the same brush here. We're just going for a subtle ombre, nothing too crazy. I'm just going to lay it into the center. Subtle! Okay, now we're going to do a final set with a setting spray, a nice misty one. Not going to leave holes in our foundation. And guys, that is the Blend Me Over Complete Makeup Brush Set. Okay, that is the Blend Me Over Complete Makeup Brush Set. We've used every single brush in the collection to create more of a natural vibe. Just dropped it again. Fuck yeah, stay down there. Versus a nice glam cut crease and anything in between. So I do have a set for my special effects makeup, for my creative makeups, the ones that are stained and things like that. So they're all nice and dirty here. Now in between looks, you can use a brush cleaner. I've just got any brush cleaner spray is really good to use in between looks, or if you have to clean a brush, do it before you go into the next color. So for example, wiping your brush off on a towel will get rid of some excess, and it is okay for some colors, but if you're going from black to white, you're gonna have to clean your brush. So I just use this natural look brush cleaner. I get it in bulk. It's okay, it does the fucking job. And I fill up a little bottle of it with the big one so I can take it onto jobs, obviously spray bottle. And that gives it a really good clean in between. Now I do have a tutorial on how to properly deep clean your brushes with a shampoo, just a cheap shampoo. And I will link that into the description of this video so you can go and watch that. A lot of people have watched that video and gone, fuck, you changed my life. Because a clean brush is the key, kids. Stop being filthy. There is a reason I went for synthetic over natural hair. I don't like how natural hair loses its fucking shit. Look like they've been electrified. Whereas synthetic seem to keep their shape for a lot longer and a lot more durable and don't snap like natural hair. So that's why I went for synthetic. So if you need to use a brush for another color and you really want to get the color out before jumping into the next one, we're going to take a clean towel here. We're going to take our brush. I'm going to spray some brush cleaner generously. Now the brush cleaners do, it's potent, do dry quite quick, which is good too. So if you need to use the brushes quick, don't go wash them and then expect them to be dry within 20 minutes. You need to just use a brush cleaner, give you a little bit of a kickstart. Now I'm going to swirl that onto my towel. You can see that excess coming out. I like to give the handle a bit of a clean as well. And that's that brush done. She's clean. Okay, concealer brush. Same kind of thing. I'm going to spray it quite generously. Taking my towel, I'm going to sweep it back and forth to keep the shape. I'm not stabbing it aggressively into my towel. I do want to keep my brushes nice for as long as I can. Okay, and that is clean. Powder brush. Okay, when you're cleaning your brushes, guys, do not stab it. Don't flatten the hair. Don't stab it aggressively. You want to use sweeping back and forth motions because that is the shape of the brush. Slamming it into the fucking towel is only going to kink the hairs in the center of the brush and make it gappy. So I'm giving it a really good spray because we've got a large area. Take my towel and I'm going to just whip it back and forth, circular motions, but I'm never slamming it down into the towel. All right, now I use a lot of brush cleaner that's still quite wet. I'm going to go into the dry area, give it a swirly woo, and guys, that is that brush cleaned. Okay, contour brush, also a note. The handles, they clean up really beautifully. Some products do stain though, and you just can't get it off. I have used a very light scourer sorry, a very light scourer on the end of these to remove hardcore products like gel liners and things like that, and it has kept the paint intact. All right, quick swirly woo. See, I'm just swishing it back and forth. I'm not Don't take your shit out on the brush. Beautiful, clean. Okay, so when you're doing your deep clean, it does describe it in the video linked in the box. When you're doing your deep clean, do not store your brushes in water. If you're going to be doing creative looks, do not leave them in a cup of water. That will split the wood. I should show you a brush that I fucked up actually. I left it in a cup of water overnight and totally forgot about it. It'll split the wood. The hair still stayed intact, surprisingly. But what can happen is if you store brushes in water or you don't store them correctly, it can melt the glue that holds the hair in. So when you store, after a wash, grab a towel, roll the end of it. It's like that on the bench. We've got a high point here, we've got the low point. When you wash your brushes, or if you have a very wet brush, you want to sit it on the bench. You want to sit it on the bench like so. All right, the water is going to run out down towards the brushes out of this silver section here, which is going to keep the glue intact, and you're going to get long time out of your brushes. Okay, so never store them in water, any kind of brush. Don't store them in fucking water. And then when you've cleaned your brushes, we're going to put them back in their little baggie, which is also big enough to hold pretty much all of the makeup that you're going to use. Zip it up, and guys, that is the makeup brushes done. So every single brush has its own little job. However, some of them have multiple uses. So don't be afraid to try different brushes for different looks. Just because I use a particular brush for something, you might not be into it. So try it with another one. But honestly, you have so many choices within this range that there is something for everything. You'll never have to reach for another fucking brush. I'll bet me left tit on it. And that concludes this tutorial. So thank you guys for purchasing the Blend Me Over Complete Makeup Brush Set. I'm really excited to finally get it out there. I love these brushes. I have poured my heart and soul into these. Honestly, they're fucking beginner friendly. They're professional level. They're everything. And you have a little video here that you can refer back to whenever you need to if you're not sure on how to use a brush or whatever. So you've got all the information here. All right, guys, on that note, I look forward to seeing all your looks. Please tag me in your videos or pictures when your packages arrive. I love fucking seeing them. They're amazing. So tag me in your creations. Make sure you email me with any inquiries. The brushes are extremely durable. They have all been tested, but if for some weird reason something goes wrong with them, please don't hesitate to contact me. My customer service is quite top notch, if I do say so myself. But yes, I am available via email whenever you need, whenever you have any inquiries. But on that note, guys, happy creating. Thank you again for believing in me. And I guess I'll chat to you in my next tutorial. All right, see you guys.